initiative is named after Luigi Mangione. He is the man suspected of killing United Healthcare's CEO.
Up next, activists in California want to officially reward terrorism. At least that's the obvious implication of a new, incompetent, and unhinged effort to pass healthcare policy legislation in California via ballot initiative named after the alleged murderer, Luigi Mangione, who's somehow getting lots of public support after allegedly killing healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in cold blood. Take a listen to this coverage from News Nation that sums up the push in this initiative that they're moving forward.
Proposed ballot measure in California is about to take on some of the nation's biggest health insurance companies, but it's also raising questions for its ties to a murder that sent shockwaves all across the country. So this initiative is named after Luigi Mangione. He is the man suspected of killing United Healthcare's CEO. And this targets insurance companies that would delay or deny medical procedures even after a doctor's approval.
It's officially called the Luigi Mangione Access to Healthcare Act. And the name, as you might guess, stirring a lot of controversy, for it seems to honor an accused killer. As Mangione faces a New York trial for the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, Californians will soon be petitioned on whether or not an initiative inspired by his alleged actions should make it onto a ballot in November of next year. The proposed legislation would make it a felony for insurance companies to delay, deny, or modify any medical procedure or medication suggested by a licensed doctor in California, especially if denials lead to consequences such as disability, amputation, or death. The initiative specifies that delays and denials can only be made by doctors on behalf of insurers.
Hey, so this is demonic. This is demented. In America, we do not reward political terrorism, intentionally using violence to send a political message by giving people what they want. I mean, if I have any liberals or progressives watching me who are somehow sympathetic to Mangione, no shade, but hear me out. How would you feel if a vigilante right-winger went and killed a Planned Parenthood executive, and then in a red state, they introduced pro-life legislation named after the killer? That would be insane. That would obviously be reprehensible and irresponsible, and very likely to encourage copycats. I hope that you can see why, even if you hate our healthcare system, even if you think insurance executives are evil, all of that, set that aside for a moment. We can't go down this path. We can't start rewarding people when they go Rambo in open season and start executing people they don't like in the streets. Oh yeah, here, now we'll give you what you want. What do you think is going to happen if that's successful? More people will do this kind of thing, and they'll do it to your side and the causes that you support that they might view as responsible for people's deaths in different ways, all of which is subjective. And again, a lot of the people at the fringes of these conversations are not super stable and don't have the most clear-headed view of some of these issues. And now we're going to reward that and say, oh yeah, you kill someone, you get legislation named after you. In my book, even if it was a cause that I agreed with, even if it was an issue or legislation that on the merits I really thought was great, I would never support that and the dangerous precedent that it sets. Now, Reason Magazine's Christian Britsky has a great article about this, where he actually pointed out that the dude who introduced this ballot initiative spelled Luigi Mangione's name wrong, which to me was like an impressive level of stupidity. You're literally naming legislation after someone and you spelled it incorrectly. Yikes. Not off to a great start. But Christian further explained how the legislation itself is completely idiotic and unworkable. Even if you think our health insurance system needs reform, this isn't it. Insurers basically wouldn't be able to deny any claim a doctor approves, no matter how insanely expensive, or even if there's a much cheaper option that has the same results. As Christian writes for Reason, insurers would have to rely on their own doctors to deny a claim or reduce payment for a procedure. If an insurer is sued for denying a claim, they would have to prove with clear and convincing evidence that the procedure is unnecessary. This would mean that an insurer couldn't argue they are denying a claim because the provider's proposed costs are outrageously high. The consequences of this initiative would be sweeping and probably fatal for private insurance in California. Almost every treatment a doctor would recommend could plausibly be defended as at least protecting some bodily function, and proving that a treatment is in fact unnecessary would be a very high bar. So you might believe that these insurance companies, United, are denying too many claims and are stingy, and we can discuss whether that's true. But they have to deny some claims. And if they were forced to accept any claim that's medically necessary, no matter how high the costs, obviously that would increase costs and lots of expensive bills would be filed and approved. And the inevitable consequence there is either these insurance companies go bust or your premiums get raised a lot. This is not the kind of thoughtful reform our system needs. Christian further writes that in effect, the ballot initiative would put insurers in a position of either immediately approving every claim submitted to them or fighting a lawsuit that they'd almost certainly lose. Since the ballot initiative guarantees successful litigants against insurance companies treble damages and attorney's fees, anyone whose claim was denied would have a major incentive to sue. Just what America needs: more lawsuits. The Reason article continues, because the initiative effectively prohibits insurers from even reducing payment for a procedure, they would also effectively lose their ability to bargain with healthcare providers over prices. That would give healthcare providers a very obvious incentive to raise prices on all of their services. At a minimum, insurers would have to massively raise premiums to cover the new costs they'd be exposed to under this proposed system. Spiking premiums would see them shed customers and plausibly go out of business completely. One couldn't imagine a better system for creating an insurer death spiral. So I am just shocked that the legislation introduced by the pro-Luigi Mangione death cult is actually dysfunctional and incoherent. Just kidding. I'm not surprised at all, because a lot of these people are very angry, sometimes validly so based on personal experiences, but not a lot of them have grappled with the complexities of our healthcare system and how seriously reforming it is incredibly difficult. And if they're celebrating somebody murdering someone as if that made anything better, then in my view, they're clearly driven by emotional imbalances, not logical thinking or serious policy consideration. So it doesn't surprise me that the ballot initiative being proposed here is so incoherent and policy just inept, but it is the kind of thing that concerns me, because if they could get the signatures to get this on the ballot in California, I think it could pass. Because if you just tell people, yes or no, do you want to vote to make it illegal for insurance companies to deny claims? People will just say, oh, that sounds good. Yeah, insurance companies should cover any necessary healthcare. They won't think it through. They won't understand all the ramifications and the costs, and they'll just vote to approve it. And then suddenly their healthcare premiums will skyrocket even higher. They're already outrageous. Or insurance companies will just shut down operation in California. Either way, not great. But this is the Free Luigi movement for you, folks. I, for one, am not impressed, but do let me know what you think in the comments.